Fear no one. Respect is not asked for. It is imposed. I am Niccolo Machiavelli, and today I do not come to speak to you about kings, armies, or crowns. I come to speak to you about something closer, more everyday, and for that very reason, more dangerous. Respect. Because respect is not requested. It is not begged for. It is not negotiated with tears. Respect installs itself like a presence, like an unwritten rule that everyone feels even if no one names it. And if right now you feel that people walk over you, interrupt you, underestimate you, test you, it is not because you are bad with relationships. It is because you are playing without laws. And in a world without laws, the boldest always rules. Picture it in your mind. A room full of people, laughter, glasses, conversations overlapping. And in the middle of that social music, someone drops a phrase that reduces you. An innocent joke. A little jab. One of those comments that seem small but leave your chest tight. In that instant, your mind races. Do I respond? Do I stay quiet? If you respond, you look aggressive. If you stay silent, you look weak. That is the trap of the insecure. They place you in a dilemma where any move makes you lose. The system does not want you to think. It wants you predictable, docile, pleasant, eternally available. It wants you to confuse kindness with weakness. It wants you to believe that being a good person means enduring everything. And when someone confuses those two things, they become a banquet. Today, you are going to learn 7 rules, not to turn you into a monster, but to stop you from being prey. 7 rules so that your presence carries weight, your word has value, and your silence has an edge. If you apply them, you will notice something strange. Some people will approach you carefully, others will move away in anger. And that is exactly what should happen. First rule, control your reaction, because your reaction is your leash. The first impulse of someone who feels attacked is to defend themselves, explain, justify, clarify. But every explanation you give when no one asked for it is a confession. Your opinion has power over me, and people do not respect someone who wobbles with every comment. When someone provokes you, do not respond immediately. Breathe. Look. Pause. The pause is not empty silence. It is authority. It is the moment when the other person understands that they do not control you. Remember an ancient law of the courts. The one who loses their composure loses the center, and the one who loses the center loses the game. In Florence, I saw intelligent men ruin their reputations over a sentence spoken at the wrong time, not for lack of reason, but for excess emotion. Here is a modern scene. A meeting. Someone interrupts you. You do not raise your voice. You do not rush to compete. You stop, look at them, wait for them to finish, and then you continue exactly where you were, with the same calm. That simple action sends a message. I do not need to fight for my place. My place is already taken. The room feels it. The interrupter looks anxious. You look like the one who owns the rhythm. Practical exercise. The next time you feel your blood boiling, count 3 full breaths before speaking. 3. Not 10. Not 1. 3. That returns the helm to you. And in that micro-pause, the other person runs out of fuel. They do not get your reaction. The provocateur lives off your spark. If they do not get it, they shut down. But be careful. Controlling your reaction does not mean swallowing everything. It means choosing the moment. Because respect is not built by reacting, it is built by responding. Second rule, do not be accessible without merit. People value what costs something and despise what is given without a filter. If you are always there, always replying, always helping, always forgiving, you become scenery. Familiarity without limits kills respect. This is not about acting important. It is about teaching others how they enter your life, like a place with a door, not like a public park. Respect begins when others feel that there are conditions. Look at your phone. Every notification is a rope. There are people who pull on that rope just to check if they still can. They do not do it with conscious malice. They do it out of habit. And if every time they pull, you respond, your mind trains itself to obey. And when people see you obey, they learn to command. Start with the basics. Do not respond immediately to everything. Do not accept last-minute plans. Do not cancel your priorities for other people's whims. When someone feels that your time has an owner, and that owner is you, they will stop treating you like a resource. One sentence that changes your life. Today, I can't. No long explanation. Long explanations invite negotiation. A period closes the door. And what if they get offended? Perfect. Offense is a detector. Those who care about you understand. Those who use you complain. And you need to know who is who. Third rule, define your limits without explaining your trauma. The naive person believes that if they explain how they feel, the other will understand and respect it. The strategist knows that a limit is not a poem. It is a line. I don't accept that. That doesn't work with me. If it happens again, I'm leaving. No shouting, no theatrical threats, no speeches. Clean firmness is more frightening than rage. There are people who force you to talk too much. They push you to justify every boundary so they can later find cracks in your story like lawyers of chaos. If you give them 20 reasons, they will attack the weakest one. If you give them a line, they are left with nothing. Remember, a limit is not negotiated with someone who enjoys crossing it. It is executed. Now, a truth. Setting boundaries at the beginning is uncomfortable because it breaks the image others had of you. And that image was often comfortable for them. But you are not here to be comfortable. You are here to be respected. Fourth rule, stop competing for approval. Compete for position. There are people who live in an imaginary stadium chasing applause, and the one who seeks applause becomes a slave to the audience. To earn respect, you need something colder. Position. Position is how you are perceived within a group. It is the role you occupy, and roles are built with consistency, not with likability. If today you are the one who solves everything, tomorrow you will be blamed for everything. If today you are the one who listens to everything, tomorrow you will be the emotional trash container. If today you are the one who always understands, tomorrow you will be the one who always swallows injustice. Change the role. Speak less, but when you speak, be precise. Add real value, not noise. Learn to say, I don't know, when you don't know, and know when you don't want to. People respect the one who defines himself, even if they don't like him. In the politics of my time, a man could gain enemies for telling the truth, but he could also earn respect for holding it without trembling. People do not always love firmness, but they recognize it. And when they recognize it, they fear it a little. And that small dose of fear is the cement of respect. Fifth rule, use silence as a weapon, not as childish punishment. Many people go silent to manipulate. They disappear, hoping the other will suffer and come back. That is weak play, a child hiding to be found. The silence I teach you is different. It is strategic silence. It is stepping away from noise so your value becomes noticeable. It is not arguing with someone who only wants a spectacle. It is letting the other hear themselves. When someone disrespects you, do not enter the ring where they are champion. Do not respond in their language. Respond with absence, with a boundary, with elegant indifference. I will give you an image. Two men insult each other in a square. One shouts, the other shouts back. No one remembers who was right. They only remember the noise. But if one of them stays still, looks, and remains silent, the square tilts. Because silence creates slow motion. Everyone watches more. Everyone feels more. And in that pause, the one who shouts looks small. The correct silence says, "You are not important enough to disturb me." Sixth rule: never show need. Show choice. Need smells. Urgency is felt. And where there is need, people test power. That is why some treat you badly, because they sense you will not leave. Respect rises when the other understands that you could leave and be fine, that your life does not depend on their validation, that you are not begging for a place, you are choosing where to stand. Practice this. Enter places with the energy of someone who can leave at any moment, not out of arrogance but out of dignity. Do not stay where you are merely tolerated. Stay where you are respected. And when someone plays the game of withdrawing attention to make you chase them, do not run, do not chase. The one who chases loses position. The one who holds his ground wins. Keep your life full, your goals, your routines, your silences. Independence is magnetic. Neediness is repulsive. Seventh rule: build a reputation for consequence. Reputation is the social memory of your actions. If you say no and then give in, your no is worth nothing. If you threaten to leave and never do, you become a joke. If you set boundaries only when you are exhausted, you will look unstable. Respect arrives when you are predictable in one single aspect: your consequences. People must know that with you, what is said is fulfilled. It does not need to be aggressive. It needs to be inevitable. Like a physical law, if you do this, this happens. No hatred, no drama, no speeches. And here is the heart of everything. Consequence is not punishment. It is coherence. It is not revenge. It is hygiene. It is protecting your space so your mind does not rot in resentment. Now listen to the uncomfortable truth. Applying these rules will cost you relationships. Because when you stop being useful, some people get angry. When you stop being docile, some will say you have changed. When you stop begging for love, some people feel exposed in front of their own mediocrity. But that price is a blessing, because respect is not a gift. It is a filter. And when the filter works, your life becomes lighter. I want you to look in the mirror and ask yourself this question. Does my kindness have a backbone, or is it fear disguised? If it is fear, it ends today. Fear no one. Not the look, not the judgment, not rejection. Because the rejection of someone who uses you is progress, not loss. Remember, power does not always shout. Sometimes it just walks slowly, looks straight ahead, and decides. Be that power. Stop for a second and listen. These rules are not tricks. They are discipline. They are mental hygiene. They do not work if you apply them one day out of pride and the next day you go back to begging out of fear. They work when they become habit. When your body learns that dignity is a priority and your mind stops begging for peace at any price. Now let us go deeper into what almost no one tells you. And yes, at first you will tremble. But that trembling is your old version dying. Today, now, before you fully step in. Understand this. Disrespect rarely arrives as a punch. It arrives like dampness. One day, it is a joke. Another day, it is an interruption. Then it is annoyance when someone crosses a line. And when you realize it, they have already trained you to swallow things that once outraged you. There are 3 ways respect is lost without noticing. The first is open contempt. Someone speaks to you badly, minimizes you, ridicules you. That one is easy to see. The second is subtle contempt. They forget you in important decisions. They speak to you with condescension. They explain things you already know. They treat you like an eternal apprentice. The third is passive contempt. They do not attack you, but they ignore you. They reply when it suits them. They leave you on scene. They include you only when they need something. This one is the most poisonous because it makes you compete for crumbs. If you recognize yourself in any of these, do not blame yourself. You were educated for compliance. You were trained to keep the vibe pleasant, to not make anyone uncomfortable. But I will tell you what no one tells you. Making people uncomfortable at the right time prevents you from humiliating yourself later. Now let us return to the rules, and I want you to hear them as if they were steps of a ritual, because they are. A ritual to reclaim your center. Let us return to the first rule because everything is decided here. When you control your reaction, you control the narrative. The world does not listen to your intentions. The world observes your behavior, and behavior, when it is stable, creates authority. Authority is what makes someone think twice before disrespecting you. I will tell you a real scene from my time, disguised so you can understand it. A young man with talent was humiliated at a banquet. They insinuated that his last name was worth nothing. Everyone looked around, waiting for the scandal. He could have shouted, he could have insulted, he could have fought. But he raised his glass, smiled slightly, and said, "I understand." Then he continued eating. The next day, when that same man spoke in the council, no one interrupted him. Not because they loved him, but because they felt him as dangerous. Because someone who does not react. That is the point. Your calm is interpreted as power. Your desperation is interpreted as emotional poverty. Second scene, family. Family is the laboratory of disrespect, because love and habit mix there. They speak to you as if you were still a child, even though you have responsibilities, bills, problems, and out of habit, you become a child again. You defend yourself, you explain, you beg, and then you leave frustrated. Your exit is simple. Do not argue. Declare. I'm not going to talk if you speak to me like that. And if they continue, you stand up. If you stand up without slamming doors, without drama, you leave. The first time they laugh. The second time they are surprised. The third time they learn. The rule is not what you say, it is what you do after saying it. Second rule expanded. Make your accessibility have a price. Not money, emotional price, respect price, form price. People must know that to access you, a minimum level of order is required. If someone always writes to you urgently but never shows up when you need them, that relationship is an unequal exchange, and unequal exchange turns into contempt, not because the other person is a villain, but because the human brain values what it perceives as valuable. And what is valuable has limits. Apply the toll. If they seek you only to complain, respond less. If they seek you only to ask, ask as well. If they seek you only when they are lonely, let them feel your absence. And here comes something hard. Many friendships survive thanks to your weakness. When you change, the bond is exposed, and that is when you discover whether it was friendship or habit. Third rule expanded. A boundary is a sentence, not a debate. People try to turn your boundaries into endless conversations. Oh, but it wasn't that serious. Oh, but you know how I am? Oh, but look at everything I've done for you. That is the old tactic, exchanging guilt for control. Do not negotiate your dignity for history. Dignity is not paid with favors. Dignity is the floor. When you set a boundary, avoid phrases that sound like requests. Could you please? No. Speak like a decree. Not this. Not like that. Not this way. And then pause. Let silence do the work. If you explain, you give them a rope to pull you back in. And if someone accuses you of being cold, smile inwardly. Coldness is just clarity when the other wanted confusion. Fourth rule expanded. Learn to read invisible hierarchies. In every office, group, neighborhood, family, there are hierarchies. Sometimes they are not official. Sometimes they are not fair. But they exist. And respect moves through those hierarchies. Who sets the tone? Who interrupts without consequences? Who makes jokes and everyone laughs even when they are cruel? Who always apologizes? Who feels guilty just for existing? If you are the one who apologizes for everything, the group places you below, even if you are the most competent, because competence without posture is servitude. Your goal is not to dominate everyone. Your goal is not to let yourself be dominated. For that, posture matters. Straight back. A gaze that holds. A voice that does not beg. You do not need to speak harshly. You need to speak with an ending. A sentence without an ending is an invitation. A sentence with an ending is direction. Fifth rule expanded. Silence is also trained. There is a silence that comes from fear, and there is a silence that comes from command. You can feel the difference in your body. Fear contracts. Command occupies space. When you decide to stay silent, do not look at the ground. Do not shrink. Hold your presence. Breathe normally. Nod if necessary, but do not defend yourself. Let the other person feel that they cannot pull you into their terrain. If you must speak, use short responses. I'll review it. That doesn't apply. That's not the tone. We'll talk when there is respect. Short answers are knives. They make no noise, but they cut. They leave no argument to grab onto and no emotion to feed on. Sixth rule expanded. Choice is proven by having a life of your own. If your life is empty, any crumb becomes a feast. That is where neediness is born. And neediness kills respect at a silent cellular level. If you want respect, fill your life. Not with confessions, not with explanations, with structure, habits, training, study, deep work, projects that demand focus, friends who do not drain you, a life with weight. The one who has a full life does not panic. He does not rush. He does not beg for attention disguised as connection. Never chase anyone. Not a friend who treats you as an option. Not a boss who disrespects you. Not a partner who controls with silence. The one who chases shrinks. The one who holds position expands. There is a precise moment when you feel the urge to write, "Everything's fine," again, when you want to call just to be chosen. At that moment, two paths appear, the beggar's path or the strategist's path. The strategist asks one question: what am I trying to buy with my anxiety? Then he withdraws. Seventh rule expanded. Consequence must be clean, fast, and silent. People think consequences mean shouting, exposing, humiliating. No, that is theater, and theater is usually the language of wounds. Real consequence is simple. You reduce access, you change treatment, you withdraw trust, you withdraw information, you withdraw time, and then you return to calm. Respect is not born from your fury, it is born from your coherence. Here is the formula so you never lose direction. Calm. Boundary. Don't speak to me like that. Action. You stand up, close the conversation, and leave. Calm again. No speeches, no explanations, no guilt-based negotiations. When words are consistently followed by action, something inevitable happens. People stop testing you, not because they like you, but because they believe you. And here is the final warning, spoken like a sentence. Respect does not always arrive with affection. Sometimes it arrives with distance, sometimes with silence, sometimes with a look that says, "Not with him." If you are searching for universal love, these rules will hurt, because universal love is a childish fantasy. Respect is adult architecture. Some will try to shame you for changing. You used to be more humble. Translation, you used to be more controllable. Others will say, you think too highly of yourself. Translation, I can no longer use you. Do not fool yourself. When you raise your standard, you lose access to certain circles and gain access to yourself. I will leave you with one final image. Imagine walking down a dark street. Predators do not choose the weakest body. They choose the weakest posture. The one who looks at the ground. the one who apologizes with his walk, the one who negotiates dignity for peace. Your task is simple. Stop walking as if you are apologizing. Fear no one, not from arrogance, but from clarity, because fear makes you trade dignity for temporary peace, and that peace is false. It is a truce that costs you too much. Let your life have one central rule. Anyone who wants closeness must show respect. If they cannot, distance is the price. Better alone than humiliated. Better calm than approved. Remember this sentence when your voice trembles. I do not negotiate my dignity.